Hello BookTube Nation, I'm Sam here again with the Barnaby Books, and today I have a huge haul for you. I'm usually really bad about hauling books. I tend to put everything away when it comes, so that's why I do my shelf hauls, which I'll link down below for you. But I managed to save all these books aside for you so I could show them for you today. I think we have about 30 books to go through, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Now this haul is chock full of retellings. If you don't know, we're in the middle of getting ready for a fairy tale-a-thon. I'll go ahead and link my announcement video below so you can check it out and hopefully join us. So the first book today is Queen of Hearts, and this is by Colleen Oakes. Now I first heard of this author because I saw she has a book about Wendy Darling, and I saw that one before it was re-released. I believe originally it was self-published. They've been republished, and this is one of her Alice in Wonderland books. I believe it's a duology, and these books are very beautifully published. But I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. I love Alice. Next is Glitter by Aprillynn Pike. And this one I've heard mixed reviews about, but the premise just sounded too good to pass up. And I checked out, I believe, about the first chapter or so, and I found it enjoyable. It's set in the Palace of Versailles, and it's kind of like nowadays, but it's almost again like it was back in the past. The court acts as if the court would have acted back in history. Glitter, I believe, is a drug, and it's all about how the main character is trying to escape her current circumstances. Next is A Curse as Dark as Gold by Elizabeth C. Bunce. And this is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. This is one of the most popular ones. There aren't many about Rumpelstiltskin out there, so I was excited to come across this one. It's one I've been meaning to get to for a while, so I was glad to pick it up. It also says here that it was the William C. Morris Debut Award winner from the American Library Association, so that's encouraging. So again, I love retellings. I love fairy tales. I'm excited to check this one out. This is The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. This was going around quite a bit a while ago. Everybody was checking it out. I'm interested to check this out myself. I bought just book one to see how it goes, but it is a beautiful book. It's got deckled edges, which I love. It has the imprint there of the swans on the front cover. This is, again, about, I think it's kind of more about like assumptions. There's two girls, and they think, I believe, one's gonna go to the school for good and one's gonna go to the school for evil, and then it flip-flops, and it's about what happens from there. I believe this is middle grade, and I really enjoy middle grade from time to time, so I was happy to pick this up. Next is another retelling. This is called While Beauty Slept by Elizabeth Blackwell, and this one actually gets really great reviews I saw online. I love Maleficent is my favorite villain, so I'm excited to check this out, and like I said, from what I could see, it got really good reviews. Next is book 2 to a book I read and enjoyed last year. This is Cured, and this is by Bethany Wiggins. This is a duology, and this is the second one to Stung, which is like Rapunzel retelling, but some people also say it's like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I found it to be a little bit more like a Rapunzel retelling, especially in the beginning of the book, but I did find it enjoyable. I thoroughly liked it. Yep, when I read it last year. It's a quick book, and I'm excited to check out the conclusion. Next we have The Passion of Dolssa by Julie Berry, and this is another one that got really good reviews. Some people I tend to have similar taste to, I noticed, really enjoyed this one. It's more of a historical fiction YA, and there aren't a lot of those from what I see. Most YA, it's usually like contemporary or fantasy, and being a lover of historical fiction, I do like to check it out in the YA genre when available, so I picked this one up. This is The Midnight Star by Marie Lu, and I really enjoyed the first book. The second book I started and I put down. I get distracted with other books that are coming out. That's always the case, but I really did enjoy the first book, so I'm excited to have the full trilogy in my collection. This This is The Names They Gave Us by Emery Lord, and I've been meaning to check out this author for a while now, and this book sounded most interesting to me. She goes to a camp for kids, and she usually does this other thing during the summer, but she's going through a very difficult time, and so her mother pushes her to go to this camp. So I don't know too much about this, and I don't want to, but it seems like it's going to be one of those harder hitting contemporaries. This is Up to This Point by Jennifer Longo, and I never did dance myself. I had a very good friend of mine who was in dance. I played the violin, and I did like cross country, and when I was really small, like pee-wee size, I did like cheerleading and tennis, but I never did dance. But I always am fascinated by books about dance, especially ballet. I find ballet absolutely beautiful, and I think it's amazing that you can condition the human body to become a piece of art. This really interested me because of that, but it also is set in like Antarctica, which is somewhere that you don't find a lot of books set. So when I find books with interesting, unique settings, I'm drawn to those. This is The Sweetest Spell by Suzanne Selfors. And this one, I believe, may have some loose fairy tale elements to it. It has to do with chocolate, and I think chocolate doesn't exist in this world, and maybe the girl brings it back. I'm not 100% sure, but the cover was beautiful, and it has fairy tale elements to it, so I grabbed it. Next is another retelling. This is Spindle Fire by Lexa Hillyer, and this is part of a collection. I think the next one that's coming out is was released already, is about the Little Mermaid, and this one is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. Next is another retelling. This is Never Ever, and this is by Sara Saedi. I believe this is a Peter Pan retelling. Again, I love retellings. I'm interested in checking them out, and this was a great price, so I went ahead and picked this one up. This is called Sweet Madness, and I was really excited to find this. This is by Tricia Lever and Lindsay Currie, and this is all about Lizzie Borden. And if you don't know, Lizzie Borden was a young woman who was charged with homicide of both her father and stepmother, very brutally with an axe. The reason I'm so fascinated with something so gruesome, I typically don't read things like this since finishing college with a minor in criminology, where I studied a lot of this stuff, but I am actually, fun fact, from Fall River, Massachusetts. So Fall River is an old city. It was a mill city. It's been affected a lot by the changes in clothing mills being relocated. It was also at one point going to be a cruise port, but then fate shifted. It's kind of untouched by time. I'm very proud to be from there. It is a big Portuguese and French community. There are a lot of Lebanese and Cantonese as well as some other ethnic groups, but it's a very interesting city, great food. I myself am 75% Portuguese and 25% French, so I'm kind of a blend of the area, but I'm very proud to be from there. And Lizzie Borden is kind of unfortunately our claim to fame. It's what the world knows about my little corner of the world. So anyway, I picked this up, and I'm really excited to check it out. Lately there have been a lot of fictional interpretations of the Lizzie Borden case, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a try. Next is Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills, and Emma Mills, her covers are just, I mean, she's got the cover game down. These are beautiful. This is the one of hers that actually the premise intrigued me the most. I believe they're in high school and they're reenacting A Midsummer's Night's Dream, and then the story kind of takes off from there. But I love A Midsummer's Night's Dream. It's definitely one of my favorite Shakespearean plays, so I'm really excited to give this one a read. Next is The Dragon's Price, and this is by Bethany Wiggins. Now, I've read another book I really enjoyed by Bethany Wiggins, and I had another one of her books in this haul as well. She wrote Stung, which again I read last year and really enjoyed, so I'm excited to give this a go. Next is Beth Revis's Star Wars Rebel Rising. I really wanted to read this when it first came out, and I just haven't gotten a chance to pick it up yet, but I have it now. This is all about Rogue One and Jen Erso and the time that you don't get to see, from like the time in between where she gets picked up as a child to the time where the movie kind of takes off when she's an adult. And I read one of Beth Revis's books. It's the first one in her Across the Universe trilogy, and I really enjoyed it. I read it on a plane ride many years ago. Absolutely loved it. So I was excited that she was the one that was doing this. And this is probably gonna get me a lot of hate, but I've always liked Star Wars. I grew up in the 80s, so not to give away my age, but I grew up in the 80s and I always liked Star Wars. It was always kind of a part of my childhood, but I didn't love until this movie. I absolutely loved Rogue One. I thought that it really elaborated on the universe, and I felt that the characters were really well developed, and I just absolutely love the story, and I'm excited to see more from Jen. Next, this is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is another one of those that I've been meaning to pick up since it first came out. I finally picked it up for my birthday, and it's kind of a chunky book, but of course Marissa Meyer does the Lunar Chronicles, which I read Cinder and loved, and I have Scarlet Crest, the short stories, and the novella, which I need to get to. I need to pick up a copy of Winter still, but this is another book that she did, and I believe this has to do with like superpowers and things like that. I don't want to know a whole bunch going in, because I know that I love her writing, and I'm really excited to check this out. Next is Last Star Burning, and this is by Caitlin Sangster, and this actually I couldn't believe I hadn't heard of before. I stumbled upon it. This looks really great. It looks like it has some Asian influences in it. It has a little bit of kind of a dystopian feel to it. I believe that her mother is blamed for something, and then she's basically ostracized, and it feels like there's going to be kind of that journey theme throughout it, and I love books that are based on the hero's journeys. Okay, thanks for sticking with me. We're almost through. Next is Renee Audier's The Rose and the Dagger. This is the second book to The Wrath and the Dawn, and I have the other one. I've been waiting because I love duologies, and now that I have both books, I can definitely dive right in. This has to do with, I believe it's 101 Nights retelling, and I'm really excited to check that out to see how it's done. I hear that the writing is quite beautiful, so I'm looking forward to this. Then one you may have already seen, and I'm actually going to do, because I'm so bad about hauls, but I'm going to do a whole video on my YA 2018 releases that I've purchased, so I can show you those. But this again is one of those, but this is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning. This is going to be the group book for the Fairy Tale-a-thon, so definitely check out that announcement video below if you haven't seen it yet. But this is an Ursula retelling from The Little Mermaid, and I'm really excited to get to this one. This is an Enchantment of Ravens, and this is by Margaret Rogerson, and from what I understand, this is a fae book, and it's all about the main character as an artist, and she paints the fae, and of course she does some things she shouldn't do, and the fae, I believe, tricks her into something, and the story starts from there. So it's a quick book. I'm excited to give it a try. Love books with fae. This is my new copy of Cinderella by Charles Perrault, and this is illustrated by Camille Rose Garcia, and just to give you a quick sneak peek, it's absolutely beautiful. But here is one of the art pages. You can see, oh, it's gorgeous. There's 3 in this collection, so definitely check these out. They're on Amazon right now. There's Cinderella, Snow White, and Alice in Wonderland, as far as I can tell, and I'm definitely looking forward to collecting all 3. Ooh, final stack. I'm gonna drop them. Don't drop them. Okay. The first one is a classic that I have in this haul. This is The Paradise by Emile Zola, and I actually watched this adaptation, and I really enjoyed it. The Paradise was really good. I think there's only 2 seasons, but I really enjoyed it, and it's all based on this book, so I want to check it out. Next, I've got a couple middle grades. This is Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. This is the 20-year celebratory softback copy. And I read Fairest by her, I believe, a couple years ago, and really enjoyed it. And this is her most popular, and I've seen the movie, and I love the movie. It's high time I read the book. Next middle grade that I picked up is The Princess Curse by Mary Haskell. And this just looked really beautiful. Obviously, it has to do with a princess and a curse. But I wanted to read this one. It reminded me, I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's really hard to find now. I think I found it on YouTube somewhere once. It reminded me of a movie I watched as a child that's really hard to find now. It's the Care Bear movie where they go into Wonderland and there's like the princess test. So they have a girl from our world into their world, or into Wonderland, and the princess of Wonderland is missing, and so the girl from our world has to pass the princess test, and I believe that's how it goes. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I just loved it as a child, and this book definitely reminded me of that, so I wanted to give it a go. In June, I celebrated my birthday, and my mother was kind enough to pick up 2 books for me. I have this one here. A little glary, sorry about that. This is The Mermaid by Christina Henry, and I believe this one has to do with a mermaid that's caught and captured and ends up in like a sideshow. That definitely intrigues me. Like the roadside attractions that used to be in the US, I believe around the 40s. I find those really interesting, how they look at how we treated people with disabilities, and that were different back then versus how it is now. It's just an interesting part of our country's history for me, so I want to give that a go. And then she also got for me the 16th of June. See that there? And this is by Maya Lang, and I really don't know a whole bunch about this. I'm excited about it because the 16th of June happens to be my birthday. So I know it's an adult fiction book. It sounds really interesting. I read the back earlier. It says here, an insightful portrait of the postmodern family written with grace, humor, and compassion. So sounds good. I'm into it. This one I'm super excited about. This is called In Other Lands, and this is by, let's see if you can, there we are. This is by Sara Reese Brennan, and the reviews for this book are sick. If you haven't heard of it, look them up on Goodreads. The reviews are so good. How I hadn't heard about this until I found it, I don't know, but it just seems absolutely interesting. It seems like it has fairy tale characters. It seems like it's like set in you know, alternative universe. It just looks amazing. Lee Bardugo says, Brennan delivers witty, nervy, romantic adventure that fizzes with feeling and giddy imagination. So that's pretty good praise from a very popular YA author. I'm interested in giving this a go. This is a really heavy book too. And finally, I have book 2. It's called the Kingdom on Fire series, and book 3 is coming out in October, I believe. Book 1 was A Shadow Bright and Burning, which I read and really enjoyed earlier this year. I'll be doing a buddy read with Read by Liv, and I'm really excited to see how this goes. Looking forward to finishing up the trilogy this year. This is a fantasy book that's based on powers and fighting these kind of monsters that have started roaming the earth. There is a lot of background about the monsters, and you're trying to figure out how it all came to be. And there's a big controversy between the difference of the types of magic people practice and different statuses in their world. It seems really amazing. It's got the chosen one trope in it, but it kind of flips it on its head. Anyway, really enjoyable. Can't wait to see what happens next. So That was a huge haul. Good job, me, for not putting the books away and showing them to you. I hope you enjoyed your time here with me. I hope you saw some books that you were interested in. If you read any of these and enjoyed them, please let me know down below. If you have any questions for me, also put it in the comments. But if you like what you had to see, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. Also, you can click the little bell to be notified when I post new videos. Please feel free to friend me on Goodreads or follow me on Twitter. Thanks for being here with me today. Farewell for now. Bye-bye.